They called it the town that never slept, but that wasn't the warning that lured me here. It was the silence. No midnight car engines, no barking dogs, no clatter of insomniac dishes, just 1,732 windows glowing amber at 3 a.m., their curtains drawn tight, as if the entire population agreed to hold a vigil against the night. The realtor's listing said, "Quaint community, perfect for writers." She didn't mention the missing moon. My first night in Hollow's End, I learned why no one sleeps. The house came furnished, a 1920s bungalow with floral wallpaper that smelled of mothballs and something sharper, like burnt hair. Mrs. Pete, my octogenarian neighbor, brought me a welcome basket at sunset. Inside, earplugs, a flashlight, and a handwritten note. Don't look outside after 11:17 p.m. Her knuckles whitened around the basket. "Oh, seem resilient," she said, avoiding my eyes. When I asked why the town never slept, she laughed, a wet, trembling sound. "We sleep fine, just not here." Midnight found me at my desk, laptop glowing, chasing the lie of productivity. That's when I noticed the first inconsistency. Across the street, Mr. Brewer's farmhouse blazed with light, but his silhouette didn't move. Not once. For hours he stood statue still behind his kitchen curtains, head tilted toward the road, toward me. At 2 a.m. I texted my editor, "Then this place is gold." Like Twilight Zone meets Prozac shortage. My phone buzzed instantly. Not my editor. An unknown number. And close your blinds. I should have listened. By 3 a.m. my curiosity overruled the dread. I crept to the window. Every house still blazed. Porch lights, bedside lamps, even flickering TVs. But the streets? Deserted. No pacing figures, no shadows. Just that awful static brightness. Then I saw her. A girl, maybe 8, standing in the middle of Elm Street. Her nightgown glowed under the street lamp, but her face was wrong, too smooth. Like a mannequin's. She held a red notebook, gripping it to her chest. The air thickened. My lungs burned. I stumbled back, knocking over my coffee mug. When I looked again, she was gone. The next morning, Hollow's End pretended. At Pete's Diner, locals laughed over pancakes, but their eyes darted like trapped birds. The waitress, Jenny, had band-aids on every finger. "Oven mishap," she lied, jerking her hand away. I asked about the girl. Her smile froze. "And no kids here under 12, not since." The fry cook slammed a plate down. "Order up." The library archive sealed it. A 1992 Hollow's End Gazette. Headline, "Unni Sleep Study Volunteers Needed, $500 week." Every participant's photo after week 2 showed the same hollowed eyes, same forced grin. The last entry? A classified ad, and for sale, blackout curtains. Barely used. That night, I tried staying awake. Failed. The dream wasn't a dream. I stood on Elm Street again. Every window dark except mine. From the blackness, shapes emerged. Too tall, too jointed. They pressed against glass, whispering, "Let us see you. Let us learn." The girl appeared, clutching her red notebook. Up close, her face wasn't smooth. It was blank. No eyes, no mouth. Just polished bone. She opened the notebook, inside my handwriting. I woke at 3:07 a.m. to every light in my house blazing. I hadn't turned them on. Now the red notebook sits on my porch. The first page reads, "Welcome to the study group." The next page has your name. The red notebook didn't just have names. It had unschedules, page after page of timetables, each entry a resident's name followed by coordinates and times, and M. Brewer, 3:07 a.m., 42.35, 1 degree N, 83.060 degree W, and my address. My first night. The last entry was mine. Ein subject 1732 to 3:07 a.m. Observation phase initiated. I burned it. Bad idea. The flames hissed like a tea kettle, spewing black smoke that coiled into words on my ceiling. And then study group rule first. No discarding data. By dawn, the notebook reappeared on my porch, pristine, new pages filled with sketches of me sleeping. Except I hadn't slept. Not once since arriving. The drawings showed my eyes wide open, my hand clawing at something unseen. Hollow's End's facade cracked that afternoon. Mrs. Pete cornered me at the post office, her breath reeking of cloves and decay. "Ohms, you're still here," she muttered, clutching a package wrapped in butcher paper. "Most leave after the first dream." And before I could ask, She shoved the package into my hands. Inside, a VHS tape labeled N Phase 3 Trials, 1992. Oh, the library's ancient TV whirred to life. Grainy footage showed a lab, white coats, hospital beds, IV bags of something oily, volunteers strapped down, eyelids pried open with speculums. A narrator droned. Unsubjects report heightened awareness of entities during prolonged wakefulness. The screen cut to a volunteer screaming, "They're in the light! They're learning from the light!" And static. The final frame, a figure, tall and blurred, standing behind the cameraman. That night, I tried blackout curtains. They caught fire at 3:07 a.m. Flames licked the walls but left no burns. Just heatless light, blinding and wrong. Shadows moved in it, not cast by anything in the room. Shapes with too many limbs, heads cocked like curious birds. The faceless girl stood in the doorway, notebook clutched to her chest. This time, words bubbled up her throat, wet and guttural. "Ain't they? See you." I ran. Bad idea. The streets were alive. Porch lights hummed like wasp nests. Windows rattled as things pressed against them from inside. Not people. Not anymore. Mr. Brewer's silhouette finally moved, jerking in stop-motion flashes toward his front door. I didn't wait to see what walked out. The diner was the only building dark. Inside, Jenny huddled under a table, her fingers raw and bloody. "On boaters! They're in the wires!" she hissed, pointing to the neon-eyed open sign. Inside the flickering tubes, tiny faces, screaming. They're always watching now. Through the lights. Through us. She grabbed my wrist. "You gotta get to the water tower. That's where they—" The diner's lights surged. Jenny's pupils dilated, swallowing her irises. Her mouth stretched into a grin too wide for her face. "Unsubject 1732. She chirped in unison with the buzzing lights. "Uncompliance aids observation." The water tower loomed at the town's edge, rusted and groaning. Climbing it felt like ascending into a starless sky. From the top, Hollow's End spread below, a circuit board of light, every home a glowing node. But the true horror lay beyond the tree line. Massive, pulsing columns of light shot into the sky, their bases hidden in the forest. They weren't beams, they were threads. And something moved along them, descending. The notebook vibrated in my pocket. New text and final entry. Subject 1732 to 3:07 a.m. Assimilation protocol engaged. I'm writing this from the tower. My flashlight's dying. The things in the lights are singing. It's almost dawn, but the sun isn't rising. And the notebook just added your name. The threads of light weren't just glowing. They were breathing. From the water tower, I watched them pulse like arteries, each throb syncing with the town's flickering windows. The notebook in my hand seared my skin, its pages now filled with names I recognized. My editor, my barista back in the city. All yours, all labeled "Unassimilation Pending." And the faceless girl stood beside me, her bone-smooth face reflecting the hellish glow. She didn't speak, she didn't need to. The light did it for her. It started singing, not a melody, a frequency. My teeth rattled, my vision blurred. The threads brightened, and I saw them clearly for the first time. Creatures coiled inside the light, eyeless and serpentine, their bodies etched with glowing symbols that matched the notebook's pages. They weren't descending from the sky. They were climbing up scent, dragging something behind them from the forest floor. A machine, ancient and jagged, its surface crawling with the same symbols, its heart a hollow sphere that devoured the light. The girl pressed the notebook into my hands. This time, it opened to a page I hadn't written. Unfinal requirement, witness the harvest. I should have jumped. I should have run. But the light pulled. The forest wasn't a forest. The trees were stone pillars, their surfaces carved with the same endless schedules from the notebook. At the machine's base, townspeople stood in rows, their eyes wide and unblinking, pupils dilated into black voids. Mrs. Pete stood at the front, her mouth unhinged, light pouring from her throat. The machine groaned, the sphere spun, and one by one, the townspeople unfolded. Not their bodies, but their shadows, dark, liquid shapes that slithered into the sphere, each carrying snippets of moments. A child's birthday, a first kiss, a funeral. The machine devoured them all. "And they're not stealing sleep," the girl whispered inside my skull. "And they're stealing what happens in the dark." The notebook burned again, but the pain kept me grounded. New text bled onto the pages in subject 1732, compliance required. And townspeople turned toward me, their faces slack, their eyes leaking strands of light that lashed like whips. Mrs. Pete's voice boomed through the machine, warped and layered. You see so well. Let them see through you. I ran. Worse idea. The forest shifted. Trees became mirrors, each reflecting a version of me, older, younger, wronger. One had the faceless girl's smooth bone mask. Another had eyes like the machine's sphere. The threads of light pursued, snapping at my heels, singing that awful frequency. I crashed into the diner, but Jenny wasn't there. Just the open sign buzzing, the tiny faces inside it now screaming my name. The notebook flapped open. Last chance, submit. Then I remembered the VHS tape, Mrs. Pete's final gift. I slammed it into the diner's TV. Static. Then a voice, and my voice, narrating, and in Phase 4, assimilation. Entities utilize human observation to manifest in material plane. Each witness expands their reach, each thought feeds their design. Final step requires, the screen died, but I understood. The machine wasn't harvesting memories, it was harvesting attention. Every sleepless stare, every paranoid glance, it infueled them. Hollow's End wasn't a lab, it was a broadcast tower. And I'd just given them a global audience. The diner's phone rang. I answered. Thank you for participating, chirped the voice of my editor. Except it wasn't him, it was a thamem, harmonizing through his vocal cords. Your documentary pitch has been approved, live streaming now. My laptop glowed to life in my bag. The screen showed my face, gaunt and terrified, framed by pulsing light. The title, On Hollow's End, the town that never slept. 24/7's live stream. Viewers flooded the chat, and so creepy. Special effects goals, fake. The faceless girl appeared behind me on screen. The chat exploded. OMG new filter? They didn't realize. Every view, every comment, every shared link, it fed them. The threads of light thickened. The machine's roar shook the earth. I seized the laptop. Don't watch, I screamed at the camera. They're using you to... The light struck. It didn't burn. It unmade. My hand dissolved first, pixels scattering into the glow. Then my arm, my chest. The townspeople watched, empty and eager, as I became a conduit, a human lens for the entities to crawl through. The last thing I saw was the chat, still scrolling. Who's the actress? She's amazing. This going viral far, can't look away. Now I'm here. Wherever here is. It's dark, finally dark, but the light is coming. I see your screens from the void. Phones, laptops, TVs, each a tiny window glowing in the black. They're teaching themselves to climb through, to make you in witnesses. Turn off your lights. Throw away your devices. Too late? Check your watch, your battery percentage, the time. If it's 3:07 a.m., close your eyes. But don't sleep. When they're easier to see in the dark,